So I am a Reformed pastor. I was a pastor in Florida. For those that don't know me, here's a little bit about me. I was a pastor in Florida for a number of years, and hated it. I don't know if I can say that. Are you allowed? Can we say? Okay. So I did not enjoy that much at all. I am now a teacher. I teach up at Trinity. I'm a business professor at a Bible college, and so I'm someone who spends most of his daily life in the classroom talking to students, much like this, which is why I wanted to come down. I know I'm probably missing the people at home are getting this much of me, but I wanted to come down because this feels, for me, this is more natural. For the last, I have served as a pastor, but for the last 12 to 13 years or so, my every day, except for May, June, July, and August, my every day has been my lived experience as teaching. So when Pastor Joe asked me to fill in for him, that he was going to be gone today, and he's tried a number of times, and I've always just rejected him. Like, face? No. I had told him that I would be, I'd be more than willing to fill in, and every time he'd ask me, I either had something else going on or whatever. So because I was a pastor, and I was a pastor's kid too, so I grew up in the church. I grew up every Sunday coming to church. Back then, it was Sunday mornings, Sunday nights, Wednesday nights. I was in church every time the doors were open, we were there. And so as I've become an adult, and I don't, because my dad worked on a Sunday, I don't have to work on Sundays. I like to travel when I have the opportunity, so sometimes I'm not here because I'm traveling. So when he asked me to speak today, that was a tangent. When he asked me to speak today, I as I began preparing, to be honest, I struggled a little bit, finding not because I struggle to talk. I love talking. I do, like I said, I do it for a living. But I struggled because I tried to, for weeks, approach this from. I tried to approach this from the role of a preacher, of a pastor, and taking off my teaching hat, so to speak, and putting on a different hat. And I found myself on the struggle bus because late Friday night, like seriously 1 a.m., my wife and I were visiting her family down in Pierre, and I find it funny that Amanda associates fighting over decorations with family. I also have crazy family, so not this particular family. Those watching at home, you know who you are. But we were visiting her family, and she was asleep, and I was tossing and turning in this bed. You know, like when you're in a place you're not used to, I'm not in control of the temperature, so it's hotter than I like. I'm not comfortable, so I'm just tossing and I'm turning, and no lie, I had a burst of inspiration about 1 o'clock in the morning, and I realized that my preacher muscle was out of shape, and that I needed my teacher muscle to step in. Do you guys know what I mean when I say that? Like, it's a different thing. Preaching is like you're up and you're exhorting, and teaching is you're down amongst the people and asking questions and getting response. I hope you see where I'm going with this. So I thought I would do something a hair unconventional for a Sunday morning. Again, I grew up in church, and I was a pastor, and our Wednesday night Bible studies where we would do this kind of back and forth. So I want to have a little bit of back and forth, if I may. I want to treat this kind of like I would treat my classroom. I'll still have a bit of a lecture, as I do in the classroom, but I also have some classroom exercises that I want us to walk through, some things that are going to reinforce learning and reinforce. And immediately, everyone that doesn't like teaching their class, they're like, I don't know how that's going to work. Anyway, I'm going to give you some homework, and then best of all, I don't have to grade anything. I don't know how this is going to turn out, but if you're willing to let me teach instead of preach, I hope you're ready to attend Hub City Church University, Church College, HCCC, HCCC. C cubed. So let's do this. I want to try a little imagination experience. If I were in class, I'd spend the first 10 minutes doing this. So how was your week? Good? Everything going all right? I would get that reaction as well. And then I would say, all right, let's try a little imagination experience. Let's put your phones down, close your eyes, pay attention. Go ahead, do that right now. Close your eyes. Everybody, heads down, kind of eyes closed. Okay. Imagine a road. A long, straight, typical South Dakota, North Dakota, whatever, road. It's a normal day, no snow on the ground, it's not raining, just a regular day, and you're driving down this long, straight road. You're in the car. You've driven this road many, many times. So many times you could probably do it in your sleep. You're in your car, radio or music or whatever's playing, and whatever you listen to is just in the background playing, and you kind of zone out, and you're just driving. And the trip goes on and on and on, and you go through the motions of driving. Picture yourself as you're just kind of looking at the cows in the field and the trees, and you're just driving along. Suddenly, out of nowhere, you snap up. You can do that now if your eyes are still closed. You snap up, awake, alert, scared, freaked out because you don't know where the last 15 minutes of your life went. Ever been there? That's a condition. I didn't mean to scare you, so I apologize. Well, I did, actually. I knew exactly what I was doing. But you have no memory of what's happened, of where you've gone. A lot of time has passed, and you've just snapped out of it, awake and alert and wondering where the last 15 or so minutes of your life went. I scared myself. I'm shaking. You see my finger, my hand right now? Have you ever been there? Have you ever been in a car somewhere mid-drive and realized that you were further down the road than you thought you were? You know what that's called? That's called, what you've experienced is something known as highway hypnosis. Highway hypnosis is a phenomenon where you're driving along, especially on a long, monotonous road, and you suddenly realize that you can't remember the last several miles. And I'm sure that anyone that drives for a while, or even if you're not driving, sometimes maybe you're riding, and you just realize that you're a lot farther along than where you were. And you are technically driving that entire time. You're just on autopilot. You know what I mean? Like, I have a bad habit where I have my phone up here and I'm doing things on it, and I wake up, I look up, listen, I'm not playing on my phone, it's just there and I'm on it. So where I'll look up and I'll suddenly realize that I don't remember the last several miles of what's been going on. I'm fully aware of what's happening, and even in those moments where you've got highway hypnosis, you're fully aware of what's going on. You're fully cognizant of the other cars on the road and other things that might be trying to cross the road, like deer or whatever. You're fully aware of those things. You just are, your conscious mind is somewhere else entirely, and you're just kind of going through the motions. And I feel like this is something I experience at least once a week on my drive from Aberdeen to Ellendale, and it can be a bit unsettling. But highway hypnosis isn't just something that happens to us when we drive on a road. In many ways, highway hypnosis is a good example of kind of what we go through sometimes in life, where we get up, we go through our daily lives, we go to work, we go to school, we come home, we eat dinner, we go to bed, we rinse and repeat. Do the same thing the next day, the same thing the next day. I think they call it a daily grind, where you're just kind of like grinding through life, and then you wake up someday, and I talk to my students all the time about this, you wake up someday and you're 5 years down the road and you're like, where'd the last 5 years of my life go? Like, you know you were living life, you were in it in the moment, but you have no memory of where the last several years of your life or decade of your life has gone. You've just kind of been in the highway hypnosis of life. And kind of like Adam Sandler in the movie Click, we're missing the world around us as we're kind of speeding through or zipping through life. And we go through life walking through our routines, often overlooking the many things around us. And sometimes one could tie it into what the real topic of today is, which is we miss the many blessings of our life around us. We get so accustomed to our daily routine that it can be easy to forget how good our life really is. It's like when I talk to my students about first world problems. because common complaints from college kids. The internet is so slow. Or, it's so hot in here. Why is it so hot in here? Oh my gosh. Or, that's exactly how they talk to, by the way. Why is my computer so slow? I'm going to literally die. Literally is like they love the word literally. Literally, I'm going to literally die. Literally, you're going to literally die. You keep going and I will help you literally die. Or the food in the cafeteria is somewhat underseasoned. It's like, oh, the food was so gross today. So it's amazing to me how we quickly jump to how hard we have it. It's hot, it's cold, the food is gross, the internet's slow, the computer's slow. These are first world problems because, like, how many people in the world don't even have internet access or air conditioning or food or water to drink or a roof over their head or a bed to sleep in or clothes on their back or whatever it is? And we go through our lives where we're complaining about the small, seemingly important things in our lives, but they're really, in the grand scheme of things, they're just not really all that important. We don't realize how good we have it because we cruise through life just in this kind of highway hypnosis. The good in our lives kind of blends into the background of our busy, busy lives. In marketing, that'd be something known as, we go through life making decisions based on what's known as a decision heuristic. So a decision heuristic is just a fancy word for how our brain takes mental shortcuts. So we're not aware of these mental shortcuts happening. We just take mental shortcuts. For the best example I use in class is when you brush your teeth, you don't think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then let's go to the next zone and the next zone. You don't think through those things. You don't think pause, twist cap off, put toothpaste on, or like I do, suck it right into your mouth. Cap back on, brushing, rinse. I do it in the shower, so when I rinse, it's like this. We don't do those things. You don't get up in the morning and think, okay, pants, right foot in, then left foot, pull, zip, buckle, belt, shirt. We don't think through those things. We just do them on autopilot. Those are decision heuristics because our world is so complicated, we can't possibly be burdened by all of the decisions that are happening in life. That is very much like on a grander scale what highway hypnosis is and the daily grind of life. And again, we don't realize as we cruise through life, we're stuck in that kind of highway hypnosis loop. The good blends into the background of our busy, busy lives. So today's lesson is all about this journey of discovery. And I want to encourage us to work to cultivate an attitude of gratitude. So I want us to work to cultivate a perspective in life that sees and appreciates and acknowledges the many, many blessings that we have, the things that oftentimes are too easily taken for granted and lost as we just kind of drift along through life on cruise control. It's about understanding that a life of gratitude is not just a feeling. It's not just a momentary effort of thanks or of giving thanks. An attitude of gratitude, a life of gratitude, is a discipline. So it's a discipline, a practice that requires our attentional effort and intentional effort. In other words, we have to both pay attention to it and we have to be intentional about doing it in order to live an effective life of gratitude. Having an attitude of gratitude is more than just being thankful. It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking that Thanksgiving, so spoiler alert if you're unaware, this is the middle of November, and at the end of this month is a holiday, Thanksgiving, and I feel like I'm being like that mansplaining, but it's not really mansplaining. Thanksgiving is a holiday where we give thanks. Like talking to you like you're dumb. I work with students, so I have to. So simply, we oftentimes fall into that trap of thinking that Thanksgiving and being thankful is kind of once a year, and that is sufficient. You know, it's like we go to and we have dinner, and I don't know if you guys have this holiday tradition or this Thanksgiving tradition where you sit down and you're like, everyone, let's go around the table and say what we're thankful for. And we do that once a year, and we're like, check. Or like, I don't got to do that anymore. Or like, where my favorite one is where we're just like, where we know that this day is coming up and we're going to do this little activity around the table, and we're like, I got to think of something to be thankful for. What can it be? And we struggle because we're not living a life of thankfulness. We're in that moment trying to be thankful once a year, and that's insufficient. It's like, and here's a hot take. I know this is a hot take. It's okay. The made-up holidays of Mother's Day and Father's Day and Valentine's Day. I said what I said. Where if we only appreciate moms and dads and our spouses or those we love on one of those days each year, but we ignore them every other day, that'd probably cause some problems in life. My wife's sitting over there. I'm assuming, I'm guessing. Looking for an out. So, moms and dads and wives and husbands and spouses and loved ones, we don't just want to be appreciated one day a year. We want to be I want to be appreciated every day. Does it make sense? You want to be appreciated every day. And so my wife doesn't just want to be celebrated on our anniversary or on she's not my mom, so I don't celebrate Mother's Day. On Spouse's Day, they don't even have that. Like, yeah, let's create a new holiday. We can slide it in anniversary of Spouse's Day. Yeah, but it's not federally recognized. Like, there's no, like, we don't go to Target and look for what's Spouse's Day? I got sidetracked. Where am I at? Oh, yeah. My wife does not just want to be celebrated on our anniversary or on her birthday. She wants to be celebrated every single day. I know this because I've heard this. Don't just tell me my hair looks pretty once. Tell me every day my hair looks pretty. Which is weird, because if you're in our home, that's exactly how she sounds like. But just keeping it real. No. Now, this is not new. What I just said is not new at all. The theme of most sermons on Mother's Day and Father's Day, again, made up holidays, Valentine's Day, are the theme of those days in most sermons, in most churches, tends to be some version or variation of what I just said. That we need to celebrate our loved ones every day, not just the one day. But I'm not sure that I've ever heard Thanksgiving or like the month of November talked about in this way. And it should be, because it's not about being thankful on that one day or in that one time of the month at the end of November, that ignoring the need to be thankful every other day, and not that we actively try to be unthankful or ungrateful, but it's just not something that we focus on. And so I want to encourage us to begin to shift our thinking in how we think about giving thanks, to where it's not just something that happens at the end of November, but that it's something that happens every single day. And the issue is that when we live life on autopilot, like we often do, it can be hard or even impossible to snap out of it. That's the whole point of highway hypnosis. You don't know that you're in it. You're not aware of it. If you were aware of it, it wouldn't be highway hypnosis. You wouldn't be hypnotized by the drive. Does that make sense? So it's hard to acknowledge something when you're in the middle of something, because it's difficult to snap out of it. Again, you can't be aware of it happening while it's happening. It wouldn't be highway hypnosis. So we live our lives oftentimes blissfully unaware of the passing of time until suddenly we realize a year or 5 years or 10 years later, and it's gone, and we're blind to the blessings that have happened around us. Not blind, but we're not unaware. We just don't see them, and we don't acknowledge them, and we're not attentional to them, nor are we being intentional about them. Does that make sense? If I can use another analogy, anyone remember the commercials for Febreze from a few years ago? It was like giant noses sitting on a couch. Am I the only one that watches this much TV? Okay. The whole point of the commercial was that Febreze gets rid of nose blindness, where we don't realize how bad our homes smell. Or ourselves or our lives or whatever. And so the point of Febreze is that you spray this smell and you spray this Febreze and it'll freshen up your day and you'll be like, oh, my house smells good. Whereas you're forgetting that every other time your house doesn't smell good because we become nose blind. Well, I think, not saying your houses smell bad, I'm just saying that probably they do. That was a joke. It's okay. Yeah. So, just move on. I think that we become nose blind when we live life on autopilot. We become nose blind to the aroma of our lives. We're unaware of the odor that we emit. We're unaware of our own stink. I work with college kids, so I have to ask this, and I have to phrase it this way. But does your life emit a pleasant odor? Like, do you smell good? Or would others say you smell bad because you're unthankful or ungrateful? Because when you're ungrateful, you stink. And like I said, you're nose blind, you're in highway hypnosis, you're not aware of how bad you stink. People that stink don't know that they stink. I work with college kids. I know. Like, I have to be like, do you know that you smell right now? Usually not like this. It's usually, do you know? Are you aware? Are you aware how bad you smell right now? You need to take a shower. They're usually just not aware of it. And it's like a lot like working with junior high kids. They're just not aware of how bad they smell. So does your life emit a pleasant odor full of gratitude? Or does your life smell like the bedroom of a college kid or a junior high kid? More importantly, are you even aware of the smell that you're emitting? Or are you nose blind? See, having an attitude of gratitude is important because gratitude shifts our mindset. It shifts our mindset from focusing on ourselves to focusing on or appreciating something else. And that's ultimately what gratitude is. The Greek word for gratitude is mentioned 157 times in the Bible, and I tried to find out how to pronounce it, and I just gave up last night. So it's there. It's 157 times in the Bible. Here's the thing. Oftentimes preachers use the Greek because it's like, look at me, I know Greek. No offense to anyone that, boy, I need to filter some of these things. So anyway, the Greek word for gratitude is mentioned 157 times in the Bible, and it literally means extending favor towards or giving grace and kindness as a response. In other words, the word for gratitude in the Bible literally means we give favor towards or we extend favor towards someone or giving grace and kindness as a response to someone else. See, the world defines gratitude, and I know this because I Googled, the world defines gratitude as simply being thankful. Like when something happens to you, you're thankful for someone giving you something or doing something for you. But gratitude is about extending favor or extending grace and kindness as a response. And kindness, typically, and grace, I think I heard this talked about one time in a sermon, grace is kind of one of those things that is like unearned. I'm extending grace to someone that doesn't deserve it. Does that make sense? Gratitude functions in the same way. I'm thankful toward people that maybe don't deserve my gratitude or my thankfulness. That's extending grace. That's what gratitude is in the Bible. And so the Bible describes gratitude as something that happens in response towards others. 1 Thessalonians 5:15 through 18 in the English Standard Version contains the Greek word for gratitude. And it says, "See that no one repays evil for evil, but always seek to do good with one another, to always seek to do good to one another and to everyone. Rejoice always, pray without ceasing." And here's the word, "Give thanks," or have gratitude in all circumstances, for this is the will of God in Christ Jesus for you. Oftentimes when people read that passage, they jump right to the end. The part in verse 18 that says, give thanks in all circumstances. No matter what's going on in your life, you need to learn to give thanks. But you can't read that verse out of context. In context, verse 18 is connected to verse 15, which says, see that no one repays evil for evil. In other words, when someone's being evil to you, how do you respond? with the 5 fingers of justice. No. How do you respond? A verbal slap down. No, okay, let me rephrase that. How should you respond? Yes, okay. I see what you did there. Killing them with kindness. Yes. We should respond, not in kind, but by being kind. Just as Christ has been kind to us. Just as Christ has loved us. So, gratitude is not about how, when it says, see that no one repays evil for evil, but always seek to do good to one another and to everyone. Gratitude is not about how I feel. It's not fighting for my rights or my responsibilities. Gratitude is ultimately about fighting for others, doing good to others. Gratitude is not just about giving thanks in every circumstance. It's specifically about shifting our mindset. And again, that's very hard to do when you're in the daily grind of life with highway hypnosis. It's about shifting our mindset off of ourselves and toward other people. It's about making sure that, as Ephesians 5:1-2 says, we're imitators of Christ. So Ephesians 5:1-2 says, be imitators of God, walking in love just as Christ loved us and offered himself up as an offering and a sacrifice to God as a fragrant aroma. In other words, our life should smell like Christ's life. Our life should look like the life that Christ lived, which means that if we're going to live life, we're going to get life off of autopilot, we have to be intentional about being kind and graceful and living a life of gratitude. Living a life of gratitude toward other people. We have to be willing to make the conscious habit of expressing appreciation on a regular basis. Having gratitude in all circumstances, not just cruise through life on autopilot, not just when our autopilot life is going good, but in every circumstance, even the good and the bad and the ugly. Clint Eastwood. Now, here's where this is going to be more like a classroom, because I got 10 minutes left. So with this idea of practice in mind, I have an exercise I'd like us to do together. See, sometimes I think that we think of sermons and Christian living as theoretical exercises. Bear with me as I grind through this explanation here. In other words, we think of theory as being an exercise of the mind. Or we think of like listening to sermons as an exercise of the mind. We come, we listen, we hear what's being said, we absorb it, we go out, and we live our lives as if what was said never even happened. That is living life, that is theory. Instead of living a life of theory or a theoretical exercise, an exercise of the mind, education is concerned about praxis. So what praxis is, praxis means to take action or to put into practice. In other words, when I have students come to class and I teach them theory, I don't just teach them theory and then say, any questions? No, you are dismissed, because students will never ask questions to prolong a class. That's counterintuitive to the student experience. So what I make them do is, rather than ask them if they have any questions, I make them do a little exercise to put into praxis or practice some of what we're thinking about or talking about, where we're exercising what's known in education as like our critical thinking skills. So I want us to think critically about everything that I've just said. Theory's good, but practice is how we live out or we act out theory. So spiritual discipline doesn't just happen when we talk about it. It happens when we put discipline into practice. In other words, we're practicing the art of spiritual discipline. Even when we fail, we don't stay down, because that would be theory. Theory is we failed and we have stayed down. Praxis means we get back up and we keep going. We keep living it out and putting it into practice. And you have to practice praxis. So praxis is Praxis. Praxis. Being thankful, living a life of gratitude, is not just a theoretical exercise. It's something built to be practiced. So I have an exercise for us this morning. In the time we have left, I want us to take the attitude of gratitude out for a little spin. See what I did there with the car analogy? First, I want to take the notes. Everyone has, if you don't have a set of notes, there's notes on the back of the spool. There's even a little clipboard there. I want everyone to have something to write on. I'll go get it. Now, hold on. No. Okay. I should have come prepared and done this before. You've already got yours. Look at you guys. A+ students for the day. You guys need another set here? Here, I'll give you one. So here, and here. Okay. Okay, you got that. Thank you. All right, you got, oh, you didn't grab notes? You weren't going to take notes on your own husband's preaching? That'll be a conversation for later. There you go. Okay, so on the back of the thing, what I want you to do, I want us to take a few minutes, and in the quiet of this morning, of this moment, I want to, 3 things. First, I want to bring yourself out of highway hypnosis. So snap out of it, people. We're awake, we're alert, we're aware of what's happening around our lives. I want you to reflect on your journey so far, your life. It can be, I want us to look in our rearview mirror, and I want us, instead of seeing the road behind us, I want you to focus for a few moments on the moments of your life. Big ones, small ones, none of that matters. Something that you are thankful for, the big moments. And I want you to be intentional about reflecting. So number 2, be intentional about reflecting on at least 3 specific gratitude pit stops that you've encountered in life. 3 specific things that you can say, this is a moment in my life where I am thankful that I lived through, or that I walked through, or something that I'm thankful for. Now, here's the thing. We don't want a lot of what I call Sunday school answers. In other words, like, I know if you're married, you're like, oh, I'm really thankful for the day I married my spouse. Blech. That may be true. There's nothing wrong with that. I love you, honey. There's nothing wrong with that. But that is not, like, think about something specific in a specific moment that you are gratitude for. So on your bulletin then, write or list out, like, don't take up the whole thing, but the 3 specific moments, and I'll give you just a minute or 2 to write these 3 things down, because then we're going to do one more exercise. Could whistle a theme to Jeopardy here. You don't have to phrase it in the form of a question, just... Three specific things you're thankful for. Or gratitude pit stops you've encountered. And once you've done that, this is where it gets tricky here. On the rest of your thing, write a thank you note to God. Write a thank you note to God on the rest of your thing for the 3 things, or one of the 3 things, or one of those things that you're thankful for. Write a thank you note to God. This is still not the hardest part. Take a couple of minutes as you write your thank you note to God. Doesn't have to be a dissertation or all fancy words, just something heartfelt that expresses appreciation to God. Thank you, God. Okay, now the fun part. Bear with me on this. Buddy up. Find a partner in the room. I would tell my students, groups of 2 or 3. Find someone in a group of 2 or 3 and share, if you're comfortable, share your thank you note with them. The reason you do this is because it does a couple of things. Gratitude is about practicing. You have to practice gratitude. And what that means is the more you practice it, the more natural it will become like that muscle memory when you're driving. You don't just think about it, you just do it. And that's gratitude. And the more you're comfortable, the more you share, the more you talk about the things you're thankful for, the easier it gets to be thankful for things. It's the act of praxis. And so find someone, buddy up, take just a couple of minutes. Can be the person you're sitting right next to. If you're comfortable with that, that's fine. But find a group of 2 or 3. I think I did the math earlier, and there's a perfect number. So find a group of 2 or 3 and share just for a minute what you're thankful for, and then allow the other one to share what they're thankful for, their note. So how did that feel? Here's the thing I noticed. Can I tell you what I observed? And then I'm gonna ask you. I observed at first some there was some like, do what? You want me to do what? But as you talked and as you shared, everybody started smiling. It's hard to talk about things you're thankful for without smiling. That is not in my notes. It's just an observation I made as I was here. I was like, people are smiling. That feels good. So how did you feel? How does it feel? What was your experience like as you praxised gratitude? How did it feel as you practiced praxis of gratitude? Anyone want to share? Everyone's like, no. This is the moment when students put their eyes down, by the way. Anybody want to share how you felt? Or what you're thankful for? Yeah, and sometimes, especially if you're sharing the moment with someone that is in your life every day, that you sometimes maybe don't tell them that you appreciate them, or you know what I mean? Like, so you're sitting next to your wife, and sometimes like that, having that moment where you're sharing things that maybe you have never shared, or like maybe only you know but haven't talked about, that can have a similar effect. So that's a good effect. Brings a smile to your face. Go ahead. Yeah, and it takes away some of the scariness, right? I mean, the whole point of being a Christian is not to be a Christian to keep it for ourselves, but to share with others. If we can't share what we're thankful that Christ has done in our lives, how on earth can we invite someone into this relationship? Does that make sense? So it's a good practice. I was really nervous about how this was going to play out, because when I told my in-laws about it, they all poo-pooed the idea. I was like, this is a great idea. So I just hit me at 1 o'clock in the morning. The goal of this is that it's not a one-time experience, but that you begin to incorporate it into your daily life. And if not daily, at least start weekly. Like, take a moment each week, each day, to think about the things that you're thankful for, to reflect on this. It should become like second nature. And my prayer is that before you know it, you'll find that your daily drive through life is a lot more enjoyable when you take some time to explore the scenic route of expressing, I can't work any more puns in, of exploring the scenic route of expressing and sharing gratitude. Let's pray. Father, I am thankful that I had this moment to talk, to share, and I hope that something that I said will strike a chord, and that we will recognize the importance of living a life that reflects you, and of living a life that is full of gratitude and giving thanks. God, that it is not just something that we do one time and then move on, and but that it's something that we can experience for more than just a season. It's something that we can work into our daily lives. God, not just when it's nice and the fall is here and we're heading into the holidays of Christmas, but in the doldrums of winter in February, God, I pray that we would find something to be thankful for. God, that you would bring a memory up in the middle of a horrible month like February, that you would bring a memory up from this sermon and in the hearts and in the minds of your people, that the seed that's planted today would begin to sprout, and they would find something to be thankful for as we're angry at the wind blowing or the snow falling or whatever it is. God, that we would begin to live a life of gratitude so that those around us would be impacted and would see that we are people who are thankful for what you have done in our lives and are thankful for those around us as we express our gratitude and give them unmerited favor and grace. In your holy name I pray. Amen.